Alright, before we get started in this tutorial, I do want to point out we're going to be doing some SQL coming up here in the next few lessons because when we connect to the database, you're going to have to do some SQL queries. W3 Schools, if you've never been there, it's www.w3schools.com. Of course, I'm on the SQL page, but I mean, they've got things on JavaScript, CSS, HTML, PHP. Another thing that we're going to be doing. That's how you connect to the SQL database. Anyways, there's a lot of tutorials here. You can go in and try the stuff. It's all free. So go ahead and check that out if you get the chance. Now, where we left off last time, we had created just the shell of an app. Basically, it's just got my test app in there. It's got a home. And these aren't really pages. Remember, this is a text box. And basically, we changed the text in it by clicking on the different navigation buttons at the bottom. You have home, dashboard, and notifications. And of course, the text changes accordingly. So if we hit the dashboard, the text up here changes. Text up here changes to the dashboard. If we hit notifications, of course it changes notifications, and back to home, changes to home. So we want to do something a little bit more, we want pages or fragments. So that's what we're going to be doing in this tutorial. So we're going to go back over to our Android Studio, and we're going to start making some changes to incorporate fragments. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create 3 fragments. So we're going to right click on app, select new, go down to fragment, fragment blank, and we're going to want to log in. So we're going to change it from blank fragment to login. We're going to leave the create layout XML checked, because what that's going to do is put something in our layout. We're going to uncheck the other 2, because otherwise it puts a bunch of code in there that we don't really need, because we're going to do all of our own coding. Once you have it, you just click finish. Then you do it again, and as you can see, we're on the login fragment Java right now. And if you look, well, it's still building down here, but when it gets done, you're going to have a login fragment in your Java. You're also going to have in your layout a login fragment XML page. And just like the activity main and the main activity here, this one is for designing the look, and then this one is for programming. So we're going to do this 2 more times. So go ahead and do it. I'll pause while I do mine. You're going to do one for register and one for account info. Alright, so I've made my register fragment and my account info fragment, and by leaving that one box checked, I've also created an account info XML fragment and a register fragment XML down here. So now we're going to go in and we're going to make a couple changes to these. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the login. We do want a text view in it. We're going to call it, if you click on it the first time, it puts a string which we'll get into later. But we're going to put login. Alright, we're going to do the text size. we're going to go 30SP. We're going to change the frame layout to a relative. Got to capitalize relative. And as you see, when you do the top, it also changes the bottom or the closing tag. And then we're going to center in parent. And we're going to set that to true. And then we're going to copy this. We're going to go to the register. We're going to copy it over to there. And we're going to change that to register. And then we're going to go to the account info. Copy it into there, I should say paste it into there. Control V is paste. And we're going to go account info. Alright, the reason for this is so that we can see our pages working when we actually start making the changes to them. So now we're going to go back to the activity main. We're going to get rid of this text view. And if you remember right, that text view is the thing that got changed at the top of our thing up here. So the home, so that's where the text view is. And when you click on dashboard, it just changes the name in the text view through the main activity programming. So you're basically changing the text, you're setting the text to home or dashboard or notifications depending on which button you hit here. And we'll get more into switch case and if statements later on. So since we got rid of our text view, we can get rid of this. So we don't need that. We got rid of the text view. We can delete this and this line and this line and of course this line, because we don't have a text view anymore. Now what we need to do is we need to figure out when those buttons are hit, what we want to do is we want it to change to each of those fragments. So we're going to use something called Fragment Manager, and I'm going to type that in real quick. Okay, so I jumped a little bit ahead, threw some things in here. Like I say, we had to get the Fragment Manager in here. So we start off by, up here in the upper part of the main activity, typing in Fragment Manager, and then Fragment Manager with the lowercase. You don't want them to be the exact same. You can call this anything you want because you're declaring a variable. So you can call it FM, you can call it Fragment Manager, you can call it FragMag or man or whatever. So, and then you want it to equal get support Fragment Manager. And IntelliSense will take care of some of it for you. Alright, so we're declaring that, and then we're coming down here and we're calling it where we were changing the text box before, or the text view, to make it say home, dashboard, or notifications. Well, now we want it to go to the actual fragment. So we start by calling Fragment Manager, the variable. We begin a transaction, and then we replace whatever's in the ID content. Okay, so if you remember, if we go back to activity main, you've got this frame layout that has an ID of content. Well, there's nothing in it, so we're basically putting it in there. Okay, so back to, so we're putting the fragment in there, and what are we putting in there? A new login fragment right here, and then we're committing it to the fragment. So you need all those in there, and then of course you're going to do the same thing under where it says dashboard. We're going to change all that in a minute, except we're going to call the register fragment in the second link, and then we're going to call the account info fragment in the third link. Now, one of the other things that I had to do is I went back and did a few cosmetics. If you remember, when we went to the login, we copied the text view and we copied it into the account info fragment and the register fragment. Well, when we did, it said match parent. We needed to say wrap content. So you need to change all of the text views to wrap content. And then, if you remember, we changed this to relative layout up here and stuff. Well, you need to do that in the login, the account info and the register fragment as well. So they should all basically have the same information, so that when we navigate, which we're going to do here, so when we click on these buttons, let's go back to our main activity. We click on these buttons, we're going to change the fragments, and then they'll have the different text in there. So let's go ahead and run our app. Feel free to pause the video if you need to catch up. Alright, let's pull the app up here. Okay, so there's nothing in there right now, and I'll show you why here in just a minute. But if you click on home, which I'm getting ready to do here, I'm going to click on home, you get your login. If you click on dashboard, you get register. And if you click on notifications, you get account info. Well, that isn't very good because, of course, we don't have what we want down here. So let's go over to our menu. If you remember where the menu is here, we're going to go into navigation menu, or navigation XML. This one right here. Open that. So let's change this first one to say login. Let's change the second one to say register. And let's change the third one to say account info. Alright, not too worried about the pictures right now. So let's go back and run this one more time. And pull up our phone emulator. Well, it's not an emulator, it's my actual phone. And this time, at least, we should have what the actual buttons are, or what they're going to access. And then we'll do one more thing, and then we'll go ahead and end this video before starting another one. So, okay, so down here you got login, register, and account info. And as I said before, if you click on login, it's going to go to login. If you click on register now, it's going to be register. And if you click on account info, it's going to be account info. Alright, one last thing, because when we come into our app, we want it to actually go to a page. So basically all you have to do for that, go back to your main activity and just copy, because we want it to be the login page. So copy this line right here, Control C for copy, bring it down here into the on create. So basically when the page gets created, it's going to call that first that login fragment. Alright, so if we run it again, it should come up with a login fragment. Alright, so there you go. You got the login fragment to start. And as I said before, if you go to register, account info, login. Alright, so we're going to end this video and we'll pick up where we left off in the next one. Thanks for watching and we'll talk to you here soon.